Hi there, it's Craig from Unleashed Education, and you have tuned in to another Editing Toolbox video. In these weekly videos, Charlotte and I take turns each to show you a quick tip, trick or technique that we hope will help you out with your editing in Lightroom and Photoshop. Today I'm going to be looking at something a little bit different. I'm going to be looking at a Photoshop plugin for Topaz Labs. If you haven't used Topaz before, I primarily use it for noise reduction and sharpening. It's awesome for fixing eyes that are slightly out of focus or just giving a little bit of extra texture in dog's fur. It's a really fantastic noise reduction plugin as well, and I really like the way that it works, much better than doing noise reduction in Lightroom or Photoshop natively. I'm going to be working on this image today of this gorgeous greyhound. This was taken at our recent Arrowtown Unleashed workshop, and it was pretty low light by this point. There wasn't a lot of light left. You can see there's just a tiny little subtle rim light coming onto the edges of the dog there. I had to bump up my ISO. If we have a look at the EXIF data for this, we can go File, File Info. You can see here I shot this at 1/320th of a second, so my shutter speed's getting pretty low as well, 2.8, and ISO 2000. So with ISO 2000 we do have a fair bit of noise to deal with, so if I zoom this into 100%, you can sort of see there is some grain there. Now I'm not a pixel peeper by any means. I think that noise is something that you can control but you don't need to eliminate, and I also think that a little bit of grain is good. What I don't like is color noise, and if I can eliminate that wherever possible I will. However, this is just grainy noise. There's not really any color noise going on here. Even in this foreground, all these grays that are out of focus here, there is noise, but it's not that horrible color noise. So while I do want to reduce it, I don't want to eliminate it completely. I might want to apply the noise reduction a little bit more on the dog or the background separately. What I really love about using Topaz in Photoshop is that you can control where your adjustments apply by using layers. So the first thing I'll do is I'll just Command and J to duplicate this layer. And then we can go up to Filters, and there's Topaz Labs here. So when you install Topaz, it appears down here, and what I want to do with this one is DeNoise. So we'll open that up, and it opens up in a new window. So now we have the windows opened, and I prefer to have this view here, which is comparison view. You can change the views, so you can change it to a single view. So you can change it to a split view to see what is adjusted and what's not, and what the difference is in a single view of the image. You can have a side-by-side view where the original is on the left and any one of these adjustments will appear on the right, or you can have a comparison view. The reason I prefer comparison view is because I can have 4 different adjustments in the 4 different windows. So if we click on the first window, you'll see that that's clear. If we click on the second window, we can change that to standard. Then we've got low light down here, and we've got severe noise here. The way that I do this is I just look at which I prefer. And I think in this case I prefer low light. So I'll click on low light and press apply when I want to apply the adjustments. You do have more controls here, so you can change the sliders to change the amount of noise reduction that you're applying. I don't find I use any of this really. I just use the default settings, and then I use the layers and masks and the layer opacities, as I said earlier. So I'll just apply this. Okay, so now if we zoom in to 100% and I turn this layer on and off, you can see there's quite a bit of noise reduction happening. Too much, I think, for my personal taste. I feel that the background is very smooth and plasticky now. I do want to keep this amount of noise reduction on the dog, so I will make a mask with a select subject. So I'll go up to the top here, select subject, Okay, so let's just check that selection. It's relatively accurate, so I'll just click the mask button here. So if I turn this off, you can see it's affecting the dog, but not the background. So have that mask. I do want to reduce noise on the rest of the image though. So now what I can do is I can make my brush really nice and big. Change it to a white brush by pressing X. I'll take my opacity down to maybe 30%, and then I can just brush it across the rest of the image. I'll take a closer look. I think we can maybe go a little bit more than that. Let's do another sweep over at 10%. And I'll take a look. And maybe one more time. Yeah, I'm much happier with that. So I can still see a little bit of grain, but the noise is significantly reduced. So that's really how I use Topaz. Sometimes if I'm applying a layer to the whole image, then I will use the opacity of the layer here to reduce the effect of the adjustments that I'm making. But basically, noise reduction and sharpening I apply in the same way. We can take a quick look at the sharpening as well. So let's go back up to Filter, Topaz, and Sharpen AI. And this works in very much the same way. So you have several options here for different levels of sharpening and different ways of sharpening. I apply a different thing to each one. And so I'll just take a look and see, okay, which one's the best one? Well, definitely motion blur very blurry and motion blur normal are too much for me. They are super, super sharp and crunchy. I think out of focus very noisy. It's pretty good. Oh, and I've got noisy here as well. So what if we go to soft normal? I think out of focus very noisy would be the best one to apply in this case. So you can just compare. One thing I would say when you're using Topaz for sharpening, just be very careful because you can get some, well, if we look even just in the dog's face here, you can get these weird kind of artifacts happening and they definitely become visible in the background. Just watch out for that. But I would definitely recommend working with masks for this. So for me, using Topaz in this way is the best way to get the most out of this software. It works brilliantly. The layers, the masks, and the layer opacity settings all give you a lot more versatility over your adjustments. And that will be my recommendation for how to use Topaz. I hope you've enjoyed this week's video, guys, and I will see you again really soon.